Success isn't a mystery, and it isn't reserved for a lucky few. It's built quietly through daily habits that shape who you become and where you're going. In this video, you'll discover how small routines, powerful mindset shifts, and consistent actions can transform your life step by step. If you've ever wondered why some people keep growing while others stay stuck, the answer isn't talent, it's habits. And today, you're about to learn how to build the ones that last. First, why success is a habit, not a talent. Success is often misunderstood as something people are born with. A rare talent, a lucky break, or a special personality trait. But when you look closely at the lives of highly successful individuals, a different pattern appears. Their achievements are not powered by talent alone. They are driven by habits. Repeated actions, done consistently over time, shape outcomes far more than bursts of inspiration or natural ability ever could. Talent may open a door, but habits are what keep you walking through it every day. A gifted person who lacks discipline will eventually be overtaken by an average person with strong daily routines. Why? Because habits compound. Each small action you repeat, waking up early, reading daily, exercising, planning your day, practicing your craft, builds momentum. Over weeks and months, these tiny behaviors stack up into massive results that seem invisible at first but unstoppable later. The brain is wired to automate repeated behavior. When you turn productive actions into habits, you remove the need for constant motivation. You don't rely on feeling inspired. You act because it's part of your identity. Successful people don't debate whether they should work on their goals. Their habits decide for them. This is the real secret. Success becomes easier when it becomes automatic. Another powerful truth is that habits shape self-image. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen trust in your own discipline. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. That identity shift is more important than any external reward. Once you believe you are a disciplined person, your actions naturally align with that belief. Success stops being a distant destination and becomes your daily lifestyle. Most people wait for motivation to start. Successful people start and motivation follows. Action creates clarity. Repetition creates mastery. Habits create success. When you understand this, the pressure to be extraordinary disappears. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to be consistent. In the end, success is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in quiet mornings, focused hours, and small choices no one sees. Master your habits, and you master your future. Second, the daily rituals of highly successful people. Highly successful people rarely leave their days to chance. What separates them is not superhuman energy or unlimited time. It's structure. Their days are guided by intentional rituals that protect their focus, sharpen their minds, and conserve their energy for what truly matters. These rituals are not complicated. In fact, their power comes from their simplicity and consistency. Most high performers begin their mornings with purpose. Instead of reacting to notifications or rushing into chaos, they create a calm starting point. This may include exercise, journaling, reading, meditation, or quiet planning. The goal is not productivity for its own sake, it's mental clarity. A strong morning ritual acts like a compass, setting direction before the world begins demanding attention. Another common ritual is deep, uninterrupted work. Successful people guard their peak hours fiercely. They schedule their most important tasks when their energy is highest and eliminate distractions during that time. Phones are silenced. Notifications are off. The environment is designed for focus. This ritual trains the brain to associate certain hours with high performance, making concentration easier over time. Equally important is reflection. At the end of the day, many successful individuals review their actions. What worked? What didn't? What can improve tomorrow? This small habit creates continuous growth. Without reflection, days blur together. With reflection, every day becomes a lesson. Physical care is also non-negotiable. Regular movement, hydration, and proper rest are treated as performance tools, not luxuries. Success demands energy, and energy is built through daily health rituals. When the body is supported, the mind performs better. What makes these rituals powerful is repetition. They remove decision fatigue. Instead of negotiating with themselves each day, successful people rely on systems. Their routines act like rails that keep them moving forward, even on low motivation days. Discipline becomes easier when behavior is automated. The key lesson is not to copy someone else's schedule perfectly, but to design rituals that support your goals. Small, repeatable actions performed daily create stability in a chaotic world. Over time, these rituals become the invisible architecture of success. They shape your days, and your days shape your life. Third, small habits that create massive results. Big success rarely comes from big actions. It comes from small actions repeated so consistently that they become unstoppable. Most people underestimate tiny habits because the results are invisible at the beginning. A single page read, a short workout, 10 minutes of practice. These seem insignificant in isolation, but when these actions are performed daily, they accumulate into outcomes that look extraordinary from the outside. The power of small habits lies in compounding. Just like money grows with interest, effort grows with repetition. Improving by even 1% each day may feel slow, but over time it creates a dramatic gap between those who stay consistent and those who rely on occasional bursts of effort. The difference is not intensity, it's persistence. Small habits also lower resistance. When a goal feels overwhelming, the brain searches for excuses to avoid it. But a tiny action feels manageable. Writing one paragraph is easier than writing a chapter. Walking for 5 minutes is easier than committing to an hour at the gym. Once you start small, momentum often carries you further than planned. The hardest part is beginning, and small habits make beginning effortless. Another hidden strength of small habits is identity building. Every time you complete a tiny positive action, you cast a vote for the type of person you want to become. Read daily, and you become a reader. Practice daily, and you become a disciplined learner. These identity shifts are powerful because behavior follows belief. When your habits match your self-image, consistency becomes natural instead of forced. Small habits also create emotional stability. They provide daily wins. Even on difficult days, completing a simple routine builds confidence and keeps progress alive. Success is not a single breakthrough moment. It's a chain of small victories that never breaks. Many people fail because they aim for dramatic transformation instead of sustainable change. Massive goals often collapse under their own weight. Small habits, however, fit into real life. They survive busy days, stressful moments, and low motivation. And because they survive, they grow. In the long run, the person who commits to small daily improvements will outperform the person waiting for the perfect moment to take giant leaps. Master the small habits, and massive results become inevitable. Fourth, rewiring your brain for discipline and focus. Discipline and focus are not fixed personality traits. They are trainable mental skills. Your brain is constantly adapting to what you repeatedly do. Every action strengthens certain neural pathways while weakening others. This means distraction is a habit, but so is concentration. The encouraging truth is that you can rewire your brain intentionally by shaping your daily behaviors. Modern life conditions the brain for instant gratification. Notifications, short videos, and endless scrolling train attention to jump rapidly from one stimulus to another. Over time, this weakens your ability to sustain deep focus. Rewiring begins with awareness. You must reduce the sources of constant interruption and create environments that reward sustained attention. Even short periods of focused work, 20 to 30 minutes, begin retraining the brain to stay engaged. Discipline grows through delayed gratification. Each time you choose long-term benefit over short-term comfort, you strengthen self-control circuits in the brain. This can be practiced in simple ways. Finishing a task before checking your phone, completing a workout when you'd rather rest, or studying before entertainment. These moments may feel small, but neurologically they are powerful repetitions that build mental endurance. Focus also improves when the brain has clear targets. Vague goals scatter attention, while specific objectives concentrate energy. Writing down exactly what you will work on removes decision friction and directs the mind toward action. Clarity reduces mental noise. When the brain knows the mission, it wastes less energy resisting it. Equally important is recovery. A tired brain struggles to focus, no matter how strong your willpower is. Sleep, movement, and mental breaks are not signs of weakness. They are performance tools. Rest allows neural circuits to consolidate learning and restore attention capacity. Discipline is not about constant strain. It's about sustainable rhythm. Rewiring takes patience. At first, focused work feels uncomfortable because your brain is adjusting to a new standard, but discomfort is a signal of growth. Each session of intentional concentration strengthens the neural architecture of discipline. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. When you understand that focus is a skill shaped by repetition, you stop waiting for motivation and start training your brain deliberately. With consistent practice, discipline stops being a struggle and becomes your default mode of operation. Fifth, how to stay consistent when motivation fades. Motivation is powerful, but it is unreliable. It rises and falls with mood, energy, and circumstances. If your progress depends on feeling inspired, it will always be fragile. The real advantage belongs to those who can continue moving forward even when motivation disappears. Consistency is not built on emotion. It is built on systems. The first key is reducing reliance on willpower. Willpower is a limited resource that drains throughout the day. Instead of forcing yourself to decide repeatedly, design your environment to make good behavior easier and bad behavior harder. Lay out your workout clothes in advance. Keep your workspace clean. Remove distractions before you begin. When the path is clear, action requires less internal struggle. Another strategy is shrinking the commitment. On low-energy days, your goal is not perfection, it's continuity. Promise yourself a smaller version of the habit. Read 1 page. Work for 10 minutes. Do 5 push-ups. These actions may seem minor, but they preserve momentum. Once you start, you often continue beyond the minimum. And even if you don't, you protected the habit chain. Consistency survives. Tracking progress also strengthens persistence. Visible proof of effort creates psychological reward. A calendar streak, checklist, or journal reminds you that your actions matter. Humans are wired to complete patterns. Seeing progress triggers a desire not to break it. What gets measured gets maintained. Equally important is identity. When you view consistency as part of who you are, behavior becomes a reflection of self-respect. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" you ask, "What would a disciplined person do?" This shift transforms habits from chores into expressions of character. You must also accept emotional fluctuations as normal. Some days will feel heavy. Focus will be weak. Energy will be low. This is not failure. It is human rhythm. The goal is not to feel perfect. It is to act despite imperfection. Consistency is built on ordinary days, not heroic ones. In the long run, success belongs to those who show up more often than they quit. Motivation may start the journey, but structure finishes it. When your systems are stronger than your moods, progress becomes inevitable. Sixth, the 1% rule. Tiny improvements that change everything. The 1% rule is built on a simple but life-changing idea. Small improvements, repeated daily, create extraordinary transformation over time. Most people chase dramatic breakthroughs. They wait for big opportunities, big motivation, or big results. But success rarely explodes overnight. It grows quietly through tiny upgrades that compound until the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Improving by just 1% sounds insignificant. You won't feel powerful after a slightly better workout, a few extra minutes of study, or a minor upgrade in your routine. The change feels almost invisible, but progress is not measured in moments. It's measured in direction. When you improve a little every day, you're constantly moving forward, and forward movement compounds faster than most people realize. The mathematics of growth is deceptive. Small gains stack on top of previous gains. A 1% improvement repeated consistently does not add up. It multiplies. Over weeks and months, your baseline shifts. Tasks that once felt difficult become normal. Your capacity expands. What used to require effort becomes automatic. The outside world sees a sudden leap, but you know it was built from quiet, daily refinements. The beauty of the 1% rule is sustainability. Massive changes often fail because they demand too much energy at once. Tiny improvements fit into real life. They survive busy schedules, stress, and low motivation. Because they are manageable, they are repeatable. And repeatability is the engine of compounding success. This rule also changes how you measure progress. Instead of chasing perfection, you chase improvement. You ask a simple question each day. How can I do this slightly better than yesterday? That mindset removes pressure and replaces it with curiosity. Growth becomes a daily experiment rather than a stressful performance. Over time, these tiny adjustments reshape identity. You become someone who is always refining, always learning, always advancing. The gap between you and your past self widens quietly but steadily. There is no dramatic turning point, only a series of small decisions that redirect your trajectory. In the end, the 1% rule teaches patience and trust. Results may be slow at first, but consistency guarantees acceleration. When you commit to small improvements every day, you activate a force more powerful than motivation. Compounding progress, and compounding progress changes everything. Seventh, breaking bad habits that block your growth. Success is not only about building good habits, it's also about removing the hidden behaviors that quietly sabotage your progress. Bad habits rarely look dangerous in the moment. They feel comfortable, familiar, even harmless. But repeated daily, they drain time, energy, and focus. Growth becomes impossible when your routines are working against you instead of for you. The first step to breaking a bad habit is awareness. Most destructive behaviors operate on autopilot. You reach for your phone without thinking. You procrastinate without noticing the trigger. You delay important work and justify it later. To change a habit, you must catch it in motion. Observe when it happens, what emotion triggers it, and what reward it provides. Every habit exists because it solves a problem, even if the solution is unhealthy. Once you identify the trigger, you don't simply remove the habit. You replace it. The brain resists empty space. If you try to eliminate a behavior without offering an alternative, the old pattern returns. Instead of scrolling when bored, stand up and stretch. Instead of stress eating, take a short walk. Instead of procrastinating, commit to 2 minutes of focused work. Replacement keeps the reward while changing the action. Environment plays a critical role. Bad habits thrive in convenient conditions. If temptation is always within reach, discipline becomes an exhausting battle. Reduce friction by redesigning your surroundings. Move distractions out of sight. Add barriers to unhealthy choices. Make positive behaviors easier to access than negative ones. When the environment supports your goals, self-control requires less effort. Another powerful tool is identity. Stop labeling yourself by the habit you want to escape. You're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You are someone learning a new pattern. When you shift identity, behavior follows. Each time you resist a bad habit, you reinforce the belief that change is possible. Breaking habits is not about perfection. It's about interruption. You don't need to win every battle. You need to reduce frequency. Every skipped repetition weakens the old pathway. Every replacement strengthens the new one. Progress may feel slow, but consistency rewires behavior at the neurological level. In the end, growth accelerates when resistance disappears. Removing bad habits is like lifting a hidden weight you didn't know you were carrying. Once it's gone, forward movement becomes lighter, faster, and far more natural. 8th, designing a routine that works. Automatically. A powerful routine is one that runs even when your motivation is low. The goal is not to force yourself to be productive every day through sheer effort. It's to build a structure that carries you forward on autopilot. When a routine works automatically, success stops depending on mood and starts depending on design. The foundation of an automatic routine is simplicity. Overloaded schedules collapse under pressure. A routine should be realistic enough to survive busy days, stress, and fatigue. Start with essential actions only. The few habits that create the biggest impact. When your system is lean, it becomes repeatable. Repeatability is more important than intensity. Timing also matters. Attach habits to existing anchors in your day. This technique, often called habit stacking, links new behaviors to routines that already exist. For example, reading after breakfast, planning after coffee, or stretching before bed. Anchors remove the need to remember. The old habit becomes a trigger for the new one, and the sequence begins to run automatically. Environment design strengthens automation. Your surroundings should guide behavior without constant decision-making. If your tools are visible and accessible, action becomes the default choice. A prepared workspace invites focus. A visible notebook invites planning. A phone placed out of reach protects attention. Good routines are supported physically, not just mentally. Another key element is predictability. When your brain knows what happens next, resistance decreases. A consistent rhythm reduces mental friction and preserves energy for meaningful work. Instead of negotiating with yourself each day, you follow a familiar script. Decision fatigue disappears, and execution becomes smoother. Flexibility, however, is just as important as structure. An automatic routine should bend without breaking. Life will interrupt your plans. The goal is not rigid perfection, it's fast recovery. If a day falls apart, return to the routine the next day without guilt. The strength of a system is measured by how quickly it resets. Over time, a well-designed routine becomes part of your identity. You stop trying to be disciplined. You simply follow the structure you created. Automation transforms effort into flow. When your routine carries you forward, progress continues quietly in the background, turning ordinary days into long-term success. 9th, turning failure into a habit. Building tool. Most people see failure as a stop sign. Highly successful people treat it as feedback. The difference is not emotional toughness, it's interpretation. Failure is not the opposite of progress. It is information about what needs adjustment. When used correctly, failure becomes one of the most powerful tools for strengthening habits rather than destroying them. The first shift is removing drama from mistakes. A missed workout, a broken streak, or a bad day does not erase your identity or your progress. It's a data point, not a verdict. When you respond with curiosity instead of self-criticism, you turn failure into analysis. Ask simple questions. What interrupted the habit? What made it difficult? What can I change next time? This mindset converts frustration into strategy. Failure exposes weak systems. If a habit collapses repeatedly, the problem is rarely your character. It's the design. Maybe the goal is too large. Maybe the environment invites distraction. Maybe the timing clashes with your energy levels. Each failure highlights friction. Instead of quitting, you refine the system. Shrink the habit. Adjust the trigger. Remove obstacles. Improvement happens through redesign, not shame. Another powerful principle is the never miss twice rule. Missing once is human. Missing twice begins a pattern. The goal is not perfection, it's interruption of decline. After a failure, your only responsibility is to return immediately. This prevents small slips from becoming identity-level defeats. Recovery speed matters more than streak length. Failure also builds resilience. Every time you fall and return, you strengthen trust in your ability to continue. This creates psychological durability. You stop fearing mistakes because you know they are temporary. Confidence grows not from flawless execution, but from proven recovery. Over time, failure becomes part of the habit loop itself. Attempt, adjust, repeat. Each cycle sharpens awareness and strengthens discipline. What once felt like evidence of weakness becomes proof of learning. The habit is no longer fragile. It adapts. In the long run, the people who succeed are not those who avoid failure. They are the ones who use failure as a training mechanism. When mistakes become teachers instead of enemies, progress becomes unstoppable. 10th, the success mindset that sustains long-term. Growth, long-term success is not powered by bursts of effort. It is sustained by mindset. Habits, routines, and strategies are important, but without the right mental framework, they collapse under pressure. A success mindset is what allows you to continue when progress feels slow, when obstacles appear, and when results are delayed. It is the inner architecture that keeps growth alive. At the core of this mindset is patience. Modern culture celebrates speed, but real growth is gradual. Skills compound quietly. Discipline strengthens slowly. Results often lag behind effort. Those who quit early mistake silence for failure. Those who succeed understand that invisible progress is still progress. They measure success by commitment, not immediate reward. Another pillar is ownership. People with a success mindset do not blame circumstances as their final explanation. They focus on what they can control: effort, adaptation, and response. This doesn't mean ignoring difficulty. It means refusing to surrender agency. When something goes wrong, the question becomes, what can I do next? Ownership turns obstacles into decisions instead of dead ends. Equally important is flexibility. Long-term growth requires constant adjustment. Rigid thinking breaks under change, but adaptive thinking evolves. Successful individuals are willing to update their methods without abandoning their goals. They treat life as feedback, not resistance. This openness keeps momentum alive even when conditions shift. A success mindset also protects identity from short-term outcomes. One bad result does not define you. One failure does not erase your direction. When identity is tied to effort and learning instead of perfection, setbacks lose their power. You remain steady because your value is anchored in growth, not applause. Gratitude plays a hidden role as well. Recognizing progress, even small progress, fuels endurance. It reminds you that the journey is already moving forward. Gratitude reduces burnout and replaces pressure with perspective. In the end, long-term growth belongs to those who think beyond the moment. They accept slow days, imperfect results, and difficult seasons as part of the process. Their mindset is not fragile. It is built for distance. And when your thinking is built for the long run, your success becomes sustainable, repeatable, and inevitable.